Every day, humans make over 35,000 decisions. Most of these we never think twice about. But then there are those few that linger, the ones that have us replaying our choices, wondering, what if? Why do some decisions haunt us while others fade instantly? I'm sure that everyone in this room knows the sinking feeling of regret, the realization that we should have made another choice, and the wishful thinking that had we made said different choice, everything would be so much better. Regret perfectly scratches the part of our brain that loves to spiral down into alternate possibilities. It allows us to shame and pity ourselves and spiral down and gives our brain license to spiral down into countless scenarios of what could have happened. The word regret has roots in both Latin and French, stemming from a word that means to lament, with the prefix re implying that this lamenting is continuous, repeated. And in many ways, this definition feels valid. We weep at test scores we regret not studying more for, and lament at the dish our friend ordered that looks oh so much better than ours. But regret is not just an unfortunate emotion, it is also a highly cognitive process. The orbital frontal cortex in the human brain is able to process actual versus hypothetical outcomes, and this function is activated when we as humans feel regret. The hippocampus, which controls memory, recalls these regret-inducing events, and when a new situation arises, is able to compare new situations with past regrets. There is a difference between employing regret and using it to inform future decisions, and making choices because we are afraid of the regret that might follow. While it may seem paradoxical, regret, a typical response to past actions, can actually shape our futures in the way that it informs the decisions we make. While regret may seem retrospective, it is also a deeply future-focused process. While learning from regret can make us wiser, letting the fear of regret control us leads to decisions that are safe rather than fulfilling. Today, I will not be talking about regretting past decisions, but about the fear of the possibility of future regret and how that shapes the choices we make. A study conducted by Graham Looms, professor of behavioral science at the Warwick School of Business, studied the effects of regret in decision-making. Studying choice through a platform of financial decisions, the researchers found that participants often chose safer investments, not because they were offered better returns or had past experiences with failed investments. No, they chose these safer investments because they feared regret if riskier investments went wrong. These findings support the now recognized theory of regret aversion, that humans tend to avoid choices with potentially high rewards due to the emotional discomfort of possible future regrets. Fearing that a decision will bring forth regret before it has even been made, much less brought consequence, is called anticipated regret. The anticipation of regret supports the regret management theory, which is that people actively move to reduce the regret they experience and expect to experience. It is human nature to avoid the most discomfort possible, so it is natural that we would also try to prevent regret. Even companies have picked up on the prevalence and the power of regret aversion in society and have sought to combat this through their business models. Several airline companies offer no cancellation fee policies, freeing customers from the fear that they will have a last-minute change of plans and lose money. Online-based retail companies like Amazon offer generous return policies for customers. And Warby Parker, a popular glasses company in the United States, offers a try-on program that allows potential buyers to try glasses in their everyday lives before committing to the purchase. Each of these companies aims to increase business by eliminating or at least lessening the fear that they will regret their purchase by offering an easy out and making them feel more secure in their decisions. But although the presence of aversion to risky, difficult, and unclear decisions has been proven again and again and is even catered to in many aspects of society, the question remains as to whether making decisions based on regret in the future is at all beneficial. Some amount of fearing regret keeps us safe from needlessly reckless decisions. But too much regret in our decision-making processes is not only helpful, but harmful. I want to talk a little bit more about why regret-informed decisions are not something that we want. The problem with regret-informed decisions is that it tends to be slower and overwhelming. When we make decisions based on regret, we weigh every option with the amount of regret we think that it will produce. Over time, this pattern of trying to anticipate gets exhausting. Analysis paralysis, a phenomenon comparable to the phenomenon comparable to the freeze reaction in the fight or flight response occurs when one overthinks an issue so much that they become paralyzed by it. When we are so afraid that we will regret something in the future, we end up unable to make any decision at all, and ironically, are less in control of our lives. While anticipated regret makes us think that we are avoiding pain, we actually create a lot of discomfort and pain just in the process itself. Secondly, making a choice out of apprehension and avoidance of regret can cause us to miss out on opportunities for greater satisfaction. It has been shown that looking forward to and anticipating regret led to safer decisions more in line with the status quo, rather than decisions that were based on what people truly want. When I was a sophomore, I desperately wanted to try out for the swim team. But I couldn't even consider the possibility that I would make the team, or even that I would just have fun. All I could think about was the possibility that I would fail miserably and regret ever showing my face at the swimming pool. Looking back, I probably wouldn't have made the team, but the fear of regretting this kept me from finding out for sure. It also deprived me of a valuable learning opportunity. Choosing not to do something is called a decision of inaction. The inaction inertia principle establishes that when we pass up a favorable opportunity, we are less likely to take another favorable opportunity when it comes along. In other words, the more we choose to not act on something because we fear regretting it, the more likely we are to continue to not act in the future. We gain momentum in the act of not acting at all and miss out on opportunities. This concept of inaction from regret can also be flipped on its head. The fear of regret can also cause us to make action decisions when we shouldn't. One example of this is the concept of the fear of missing out, or FOMO. I've certainly gone to events or done things I didn't really feel like doing, or maybe even shouldn't be doing, because I'm so afraid that I'll regret not attending or doing the thing. Regret-informed decisions also tend to be unsatisfying. In one study, participants were asked to make 10 paintings. Then participants were given 2 choices. They could either choose option 1, take 1 painting and keep it, or option 2, take 1 painting and switch it out after 4 weeks. The ones who chose option 2 were motivated by the fear that they would regret their choice of painting in a few weeks and emboldened by the possibility that they would have the opportunity to backtrack and change their choice. After a duration of several weeks, the participants' level of satisfaction was measured. It was found that the participants who chose their pick of the painting to be final had much higher levels of satisfaction than those who chose the option to switch out their painting after 4 weeks. Researchers observed that this lower level of satisfaction came from the continued rumination on the upcoming switch, increased amounts of anticipated regret for their next choice in painting, and a lack of security in their decision. This study is but one example of how regret-informed or regret-inspired decision-making does not lead to outcomes that are satisfying or fulfilling, but leave us on edge and even more resentful of our choices. I hope I've established that regret-informed decisions are not something that we want to do. Why then do we continue to make them? One reason that regret anticipation is so prevalent in today's society is because of the perceived finality of the decisions we have to make. One philosophy popular currently is the sliding door theory. This theory, which gets its name from a movie in the 90s in which a woman lives 2 alternate timelines based on whether or not she makes her morning train, posits that every decision, even the inconsequential ones, opens the door to thousands of other decisions which ultimately shape your future. This theory might seem appealing, and at first glance, it is comforting to think that we are in control of our destinies, that we have the power to craft our futures and alter our lives with a chain of events that we can ultimately craft. And it is undeniable that the small and simple choices we make in our everyday lives can turn into habits which shape part of who we are as a person. And then when we reflect on these choices, we can become better, healthier, stronger people. But when we believe that every small decision might determine our future, we open the door to regret. Each decision feels like a domino that could set off an entire sequence of outcomes. That makes even the simplest decisions feel overwhelming. We must not only make the decision at hand, but weigh every single other possible outcome stemming from this decision. This finality of decisions is the perfect opportunity for regret to creep in because we feel that we must make the perfect decision. We are also taught from a young age that certain decisions are assigned importance and weight. Most of us would agree that some of the more weighty decisions include what university to go to, what career we pursue, and who we choose to spend our time with. If you walk around a high school, scroll through TikTok, or find yourself anywhere with Gen Zs, you might hear the phrase, "It's not that deep." While this phrase is a piece of modern jargon often thrown around as a joke or a half-hearted attempt to distance ourselves from a situation we actually do care about, at its core is a key truth. If we really take a step back, we see that many of the decisions we place so much weight and emphasis on are not all that important at all. Yes, they matter, and no, we shouldn't throw it all to the wind and give up. But at the end of the day, big decisions like what we choose to study in school, or even small decisions like whether or not we eat the leftover cake or take a sick day, are not the ends of the world. They're really not that deep. Yes, we may or may not want to take that decision and grow from it, but it alone is not going to change our value as a person. The options are not success or failure, but believing that one decision has so much importance that it can determine our achievement and happiness heightens the fear that we will regret our choices, even though the reality of a choice is likely somewhere in the middle. The weight or finality of decisions we make are also not objective. There are so many factors out of our control that can influence how a decision plays out. Making a decision based on the fear that we'll regret another one discounts all the independent factors that also shape our lives. Jack Ma, the CEO of Alibaba, one of the world's largest retail companies, did not start out successful. He regularly failed exams at school. He applied 10 times to Harvard and got rejected every single one. Even KFC wouldn't hire him. Now he heads a company, part of the New York Stock Exchange, and has become one of the richest people in the world. This highlights the many factors that contribute to our success or failure, rather than singular events or choices we feel are pivotal. It is also clear evidence that the events and decisions we think are the most important, like getting into a good school or scoring the perfect job, are not necessarily the ones that lead us to success, and we can never be able to truly predict their outcome. The last reason regret-informed decisions are so common is the multitude of choices surrounding us at any given moment. According to Neil J. Rose, researcher at the National Institute of Health in the USA, opportunity breeds regret. Feelings of dissatisfaction and disappointment are strongest when the chances for corrective action are clearest. The more options we have, the more we feel that we may choose the wrong one. Because at the back of our mind, we know that it could have been preventable had we made another choice from the multitude of options presented to us. 50 years ago, life was simpler. You turned on the TV and watched whatever was available. You went to the store and chose between 2 cereal instead of 20. Regret was further between because there were less decisions to anticipate regret for. Now at every menu read, every Netflix homepage we scroll through, every store window we pass, we see opportunities for regret. Fear that we'll regret not buying, watching, or eating something, or even fear that we'll regret buying, watching, or eating something when we could have bought, watched, or ate something else. We feel compelled to weigh every decision before we choose, setting us up for a serious case of decision fatigue. If we look back to the study with the paintings, it was the participants that had the opportunity to make such corrective action who were more unhappy than the participants who were only able to make the choice once. So how do we escape anticipated regret? The answer is simple. We can't. Regret is inevitable, and because we can't remove the orbital frontal cortex, we can never completely rid ourselves of regret. We can, however, reduce the impact of regret in our decision-making processes. Recognizing that we are prone to regret-informed decisions is a good first step. Being mindful of the things beneath our immediate consciousness is one of the best ways to change. We can also narrow our option pool. As established earlier, when we have less choices, we have less fear that we will choose the wrong one and regret it. 2 scientists, Iyengar and Lepper, conducted a study where shoppers were presented with a large array, 24, or a small array, 6, of jam flavors. While more people were, of course, attracted to the larger array, those that were given fewer options were more likely to make a purchase and report satisfaction. The limited choice reduced the likelihood of second-guessing their decision, thus minimizing regret. I've experienced the power of reducing the multitude of choices in my own life. With so many interests, from MUN to baking to singing, playing the piano to community service, I used to worry about choosing the wrong one to focus on. To ease that stress and fear of regret, I decided to cut down my choices. Inspired by Marie Kondo's idea of asking, does this spark joy? I started focusing on activities that truly brought me fulfillment and cut out those that caused me unnecessary stress and additional decision fatigue. This way, I'm not led by regret, but guided by what makes me happiest. We can also reduce the fear of regret by framing our choices as temporary, as they are, and reminding ourselves that we are making a decision for now, not forever. Knowing our decisions aren't permanent help us feel less preemptive regret while making them. However, the most helpful way to overcome anticipated regret is quite possibly the hardest. Trusting yourself. Regret will happen either way, but it does not have to happen twice. What if, instead of trying to anticipate regret beforehand, which I hope I've established is not something we want to do, we cross that line when we get to it? We've already dealt with the regret of countless decisions and will be able to deal with more. How much easier would our lives become if we decided to make decisions to act or not to act based on the fulfillment it will bring us rather than the possibility of the regret it will bring? What if we dealt with regret when it happens? If it even happens. Sometimes we are so caught up in fearing that we'll make the wrong decision, we discount the possibility that it could be the right decision, that things will turn out well as a result of the choice. Let's give ourselves the opportunity to grow, to thrive, and not to make our fear of regret a self-fulfilling prophecy. Regret is inevitable. It's messy and it's uncomfortable, but it's also proof that we care, that we're alive and that we're growing. What if, instead of fearing regret, we leaned into it? What if we trusted ourselves to handle the consequences? Before you leave today, think of one decision that you've been putting off. Maybe it's small, maybe it's something big that's been weighing on you. Take a deep breath. Trust yourself to make it, not based on the likelihood that it is going to bring you regret, but based on what you truly feel is best. And remember, you are stronger than any regret that might follow. Thank you.